My computer's something else. It's rather frustrating. All the more reason I need to get like a standalone server so I don't have to worry about this fucking bullshit. And it doesn't matter. If I was streaming, it would still do it. It's just probably overheating or something. I don't know. I don't know. I barely care. But I do know it is kind of warm in here, so I am going to. I already started the server. Waiting for that to boot up.
Bella, how are you doing in here?
Open the window.
Why the fuck are you slamming it like that?
Oh,
That was
I
louder. I thought you fucking fell or something.
hopefully. Anyway, where am I at? Oh, 3 of 20 when I was at 7 of 20. Oh, don't worry, I'll catch up. Watch this shit. Act like I won't. I'm gonna catch up in XP. Fucking hate streaming, I know too. I'm like so close to going back to streaming on D Live. I'm not even fucking joking. Because of how it saves VOD every time I stream, it's an entirely separate stream. I'm gonna die you just because. You know what, my shit crashed and I forgot to run the fixed database, but that's okay because I'm essentially gonna complete this quest on dot dies. I'm gonna get 10, I think. That should make up for it. These owl beasts are just like randomly scattered around here. It's actually kind of weird where they are. Very awkward. How many did I say? 9? Well, I'm gonna do 10 now because it took me so long.
In front of, like, let me think, where else is there? There's that's the number one place. STV, yeah, STV is probably the main place that there's a lot of fucking PvP. And then maybe a little bit beyond that, like maybe like Western Plaguelands or something, like high levels, because people are like competing for like grinding spots.
Aspect of it
And
kinda
BRD,
gets overshadowed. And don't get me started on the landscape. The landscape of the zone. It's alright, actually. Landscapes are a very subjective thing to discuss, and many people have fond memories of the barren wasteland that they spent weeks, maybe even months leveling through. Personally, I was never the biggest fan of the zone's aesthetics, but it could look very cool at times. In Cataclysm, with the remake of the old world, the Barrens was cut in half and turned into 2 leveling zones, and each zone is about the same size as other regular size zones, which should tell you something about just how huge the old Barrens was, if splitting it in half made each new zone only normal sized.
Okay.
And with the splitting of the zone, most of the old qualities of vanilla Barrens are gone. You no longer
I never liked that. Like, Blizzard totally fucked up by letting this shit happen before they had the technology to have the 2 separate zones at the same time. They totally fucked up by not doing that.
longer need to stay in any zone for very long with all the alternative ways to level. And with Dungeon Finder being available at level 15, most players totally skip it altogether. So Baron's chat isn't even.
I'm actually going to go ahead and restart the server because I have to fix the database.
Be absolutely terrible. So no more spending an hour killing zebras for 4 hoofs. And guards in low-level towns are actually a threat now. So it's not as easy to take the crossroads as it once was. So world PvP is almost non-existent there anymore. With Blizzard making changes to the zone to fix its many problems.
Every time you crash, always run the fixed database.
Yep.
But that's not
Pro
always a
tip.
bad thing. Sure, we'll never have the old Barrens again, because most of the things that made it such a heavily traveled zone were because of bad zone design. So would you even want that again? Is it better to have a good zone that's kind of forgettable that hardly anyone goes to? Or a bad zone that everyone's forced to go to? Because that's what Old Barrens was.
It's better to have a bad zone that everybody is forced to go to. That's what it is. That's honestly the truth. Is it so much better to have a shit-ass zone, a shit-ass garbage zone that everybody fucking has to do it? Like Timeless Isle. Was Timeless Isle really that great? Timeless Isle was good. But you know what fucking sucked? Is the layout, not being able to fly, getting killed by people with the sensor on constantly, and everybody fucking remembers it because everybody was there. And you were sitting there with everybody else and you had to deal with it. And that kind of shit was what mattered. When we go, vanilla questing and why it was remembered.
This video will go over powerful abilities and combos that were incredibly strong at one point or another in vanilla WoW. But this list will also cover more than just strong damage dealing abilities, and cover defensive and CC effects as well. At number 10, we've got kind of a mean combo in the form of the Paladin Bubble Hearth. You see, Divine Shield, the Paladin ability that gives him immunity to all forms of damage and debuffs, lasted for 12 seconds in vanilla.
God.
Hearthstones had a 10-second cast time,
Jeez,
so a pally who was in trouble could simply use Bubble and then cast Hearthstone to get out of anywhere. If a pally got caught out in the open world and was dying, they could just Bubble Hearth out of there. If a pally was mad at a raid, they could just pull the boss and then Bubble Hearth. It was the ultimate escape tool, and there were...
That shit happened. I told the same story, right? The Four Horsemen. This one guy literally walking in there like a bomb in slow motion, because like they kicked him out of the group, but he had like the 1 minute thing until he got removed from the instance. He was running towards Four Horsemen. This is like a Nax 40. Fucking aggroes them. And he Bubble Hearts out, and like the Four Horsemen just like run through the wall because we thought that they wouldn't chase us through the wall. Like Mograine just comes busting through that fucking wall like the Kool-Aid man, just killing fucking everybody, man. It was so funny. Like, it was funny, but it also was like, it was annoying because it would take like 40 minutes for everybody to get back. But the first fucking time, just watching, yeah, oh yeah, just killing everybody, and everybody in Vent like just fucking angry. Dude, those were the days. That was so fucking fun, man.
No ways to remove it in Vanilla WoW, as Mass Dispel and Shattering Throw weren't added until later expansions. So, if a pally wanted to run away, there wasn't anything you could really do to stop them.
Nope.
Number 9, Frost Shock. Frost Shock is also another kind of a meme ability that everyone liked to call overpowered, but it kind of deserved its infamy to an extent. Frost Shock was one of the 3 shock shamans could use, which all shared the same short 6-second cooldown. And since 3 abilities all shared the same cooldown, Blizzard wanted to balance each one in a way that made you want to pick it over the other 2. Earthshock had a baked-in interrupt that was also kind of overpowered to an extent.
It was really overpowered.
Flame Shock just did damage and put a dot up. And Frost Shock did damage and slowed the target for 8 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Frost Shock did damage? Because I meant to say Frost Shock did
ridiculous
a lot of damage. It did way more damage than an instant cast spell with such a short cooldown really should have been able to do.
It was so bad that someone literally made a video of a paladin rerolling to a shaman just to cast Frost Shock. It was that fucking ridiculous.
Plus, it had a slow attached to it that was longer than its cooldown, meaning you could keep someone permanently slowed with Frost Shock. Frost Shock was one of the few ranged slows in the game that could do that, in Vanilla WoW anyway, and the only one that also did damage. And in Vanilla WoW, where mobility was low, this was actually super powerful for that time period. So much so that Blizzard added DRs to slows in patch 1.4. Basically just to deal with the Frost Shock problem. In case you were wondering, DRs don't exist on slows today. They removed them from that in the Burning Crusade. Slows were a much bigger deal in Vanilla WoW, and shamans were one of the most mobile kiters thanks to Frost Shock. Number 8, Fear. Not just the Warlock ability Fear, but all Fears. Fears in Vanilla WoW worked a little differently than they do today. Functionally, they are basically the same. When used on someone, they run around randomly and can't use abilities. And in Vanilla WoW, Fear had a chance to break early if they took damage. This is still the case today as well, only the damage threshold worked differently. Fear had a higher chance to break the more damage they took from an ability, and a low chance to break from small amounts of damage. So, if you just put dots on a target and used a channeled ability, Fear was basically a 12-second stun. Technically,
that was the good days, man. I used to love that shit. I played an Affliction Warlock. It was absolutely fucking beautiful. Do we finally get to see? No, Coach John for $2. Thank you. McCool fan donated $100. Thank you so much, man. Here, take another 100 for some new ear warmers. Thank you very much, McCool fan, for the $100. I fucking appreciate that, man. Thank you, dude. Let me get the rest of these.
Hunters, Priests, and Warriors also had Fears, but only Warlocks had a spammable, no cooldown Fear. So if a Warlock got opened up on in PvP, they could have their invisible succubus seduce the target, turn around and cast Fear. Then put up full dots and use one of their 3 channeled abilities to do a ton of small ticks of damage, and basically kill people through a near permanent Fear that would never break. Number 7, the cheap shot / kidney shot combo. Rogues could cheap shot out of stealth for a 4-second stun, and then combo into kidney shot for another 6-second long stun, for a total of 10 seconds of stun, the longest stun chain in Vanilla WoW without some kind of special items or gimmicks.
Not to be confused by the 2-minute stun chains in Mists of Pandaria that were just happening all the time.
The only real downside to the stun combo was the energy and combo points required to use the two abilities, which could be completely offset through some items like Thistle Tea. A 10-second stun was enough time for a gear rogue to kill
Thistle
a low armor
fucking
target,
tea, dude.
so it was technically possible for rogues to kill someone of equal level while never getting hit back in exchange. And with
Yeah, that was the world of Roguecraft. Like, rogues were so fucking OP in vanilla WoW, it's disgusting. Like, I really do believe it's truly disgusting. Fucking tea. Yeah, they're gonna use Thistle Tea. Like, it just, the word triggers me. I don't even like to see the word.
very little skill involved. A 10-second stun was powerful back then, and would be powerful today.
Yep.
Although this 10-second stun wasn't exclusive to vanilla WoW. It was a thing all the way until Cataclysm, when Blizzard finally put Kidney Shot and Cheap Shot on the same stun DRs. But
Yep.
it was really strong in vanilla WoW too, and the cause of lots of complaints about rogues being too overpowered.
I wonder where those
But
came
funny
from.
enough, the thing that people associate rogues to, being able to CC someone to death without ever getting hit back,
Yeah.
didn't actually involve the Cheap Shot Kidney Shot combo, which I'll get into a little bit more later on in this list. Number 6, Curse of Shadow and Negative Resistances. Before patch 1.9, you could cause targets to go into negative resistances with either Curse of Elements or Curse of Shadow.
Negative
Resistances were a
resistances.
stat that would lower damage taken by their specific element
I remember this.
and give you a chance to resist their effects. So having high shadow resistance meant you took significantly less shadow damage and could sometimes be immune to fear and other
Right.
shadow school debuff effects.
Right.
Negative resistances basically did the opposite
Okay.
and caused you to do bonus
I'm just so
damage to
excited to
targets.
kill Savage
So a
Owl
warlock
Beast that
throwing
I
up a
don't
Curse
even
of
bother
Shadow
trying
on
to get
target,
like
causing their shadow resistance
perfectly in the range.
They
I
could
just
hit them
kill
for
'em.
double damage shadow bolts.
What the fuck?
Which, if they crit, could do a potential of 4 times their normal damage.
What the
Which was
fuck?
basically a guaranteed one-shot to any player.
That's really good.
This was so good that Blizzard just removed the ability to go into negative resistances in patch 1.9.
Would you guys want to see negative resistances? Because you have that in Path of Exile, right? I mean, Path of Exile has negative resistances, but it feels like... I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. Honestly, like, I mean, the issue with, like, resistances is that, like, in PvP, it's really hard to, like, gear because you have to get resistances for everything. And so then you have people that are like gearing towards one resistance and they always beat people of that resistance, etc. So it feels like it would be really stupid in PvP. But I don't know, maybe if they had it in PvE, that would be really cool. I always thought it was stupid that you could cast a fireball on a fire elemental.
Joke's on you, I got all
I
20,
just-
bitch.
I don't know, to me it doesn't make a lot of sense.
As it was most likely a bug anyway, and unintended. Number 5, Mortal Strike. Mortal Strike was one of the hardest hitting instant attack abilities.
You know
in
what?
the
I'm
game,
gonna take the
which
rest
scaled with
sickness.
weapon damage.
I have the
Yeah,
money.
For those of you
did.
who don't know, some abilities scale with weapon damage, and weapons have varying levels of damage
Yep.
based on speed.
It did a lot of
So
damage.
a fast weapon will do less damage than a slow weapon, since it hits more often.
Yep.
While a slow weapon will do a lot more single hit damage because
gotta
it
be
doesn't
fucking
hit as
kidding me.
Weapon
often,
damage.
and that's how Blizzard balances them out with each other. So with an instant attack like Mortal Strike that scales off the weapon
There's just an
and doesn't care at all about its speed,
Just
you
bot
want the
camping the
slowest weapon
graveyard.
possible to make sure to hit the
Holy
hardest.
shit.
And this is where the Arcanite Reaper came to fame. The
3.8.
Arcanite Reaper was a high-level blue weapon.
3.8.
I just took
that
wrist
was
sickness for no
somewhat easy to
reason.
craft and extremely slow with an attack speed
Yep.
of 3.8, making
Chazzik,
it
thanks
a
for the 5
monster of a
subs,
weapon
man.
for warriors. It was so good, it even outclassed some epic two-handed weapons from Molten Core.
I actually like the idea of weapon speed being like a factor. Like having like a 3.2% 3.2 speed pole arm versus like the 4.0 speed big dick fucking great hammer. And I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. The only problem that I really had with this system is like in Dark Souls, for example, like slower weapons are really good for some things and faster weapons are really good for other things. But overall, fast weapons are, as far as I know, better. But in WoW, since everything basically just did weapon damage, there wasn't really any instances of a faster weapon really being better, except for maybe for generating threat, you know? And I think that was the main issue that they had with having weapon damage and like just like flat weapon damage being a modifier for the damage for like abilities. But if they had something where like faster weapons had their own advantage, maybe they would generate more rage, etc. I do think that it could have been a really cool system they could have built on and iterated on.
Despite being a level 58 blue item. So, coupled together with Mortal Strike, a middle-of-the-road geared warrior could take out half the health of a player with 1 MS.
Yeah, of course.
And even kill Clothies with a crit.
Of course.
It was easy, effortless power, and very widespread with how easy it was to obtain the Reaper.
Yeah, of course.
But come patch 1.8, Blizzard normalized weapon attack speed. And brought Mortal Strike more in line and no longer overpowered with an extremely slow weapon. And on a side note, because of the widespread use of the Arcanite Reaper, it was used as the model for the heirloom two-handed axe we have today. Number 4. Blind Prep. Ever hear the infamous stun rogue who killed max level geared players while naked and using a starting zone dagger? Well, that infinite stun combo actually didn't rely on stuns very much, and was in fact so strong because of Blind. You see, Blind is an instant cast, long form CC that breaks on damage. And Preparation is an ability rogues have that resets the cooldown of all other rogue abilities. So what the naked rogue in the video did was take advantage of the fact that Preparation could also reset the cooldown of Blind, and the fact that Eviscerate did static damage and didn't scale at all with gear. So what he did was double cheap shot with Vanish and then Blind. He'd wait the full blind duration in order to leave combat and re-stealth, then sap, and wait the full duration again for another re-stealth, since in vanilla WoW, sap made you leave stealth. Then,
it's like that dude's a grand motherfucking marshal, and he just got beat by a rogue.
I'm pretty sure I had one of those.
Any fucking gear. I mean, like, guys, listen, boosted? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, yes, there were more people, like, if you get Grand Marshal, it's called balance. Yeah, it is balanced. But it's a good player. So is the other guy, probably. And it's like, how do good players counter being unable to play their character until they die, right? It's like good players can't avoid a one-shot. This is kind of the same thing. Thinking Classic is balanced. Yeah, I mean, listen. Like, the way that I look at just Trinket, they're just going to vanish, man. Just reset, wait for your Trinket, do it again, right? That's all there is to it. It's sorry to say. Like, I mean, they just vanish and do it again. Like, the thing with rogues is that if you are a pussy-ass bitch and you play a rogue, you're going to do... It's what you do. This is how you play right here. Trinket Rend, then they can't. They can just always
prep to reset all cooldowns,
etc.
and then do the whole thing again. After going through 2 full rotations of this CC chain, along with at least 2 cold-blooded eviscerates, and a couple of other damage moves to build combo points, that's what allowed a naked rogue to kill fully geared players. And Blind was the crucial part of that whole CC chain, as Blind was what allowed the rogue to leave combat in order to use sap, which allowed cheap shots DRs to disappear.
Blind back then, you guys gotta remember, Blind back then was a poison. It wasn't like a CC in the same way it is now. Like, it was a poison, so you could be dispelled, and it also had a really, really short cooldown. It was like 30 seconds or something.
And let the rogue save all of his combo points for eviscerates. So it was really Eviscerate's static damage and Blind's cooldown resets that allowed the chain to be as effective as it was. And you could have someone CC'd for about 45 seconds straight
5 minutes
if you did it correctly,
for Blind?
Of which only 10 to 12 seconds of that were spent in stuns. And because of Blind's incredible usefulness with a cooldown reset from prep,
it was Blind was a 5-minute CD in vanilla WoW. Damn, like, I never played a rogue back then. I thought it was like it was like 30 seconds or something. I thought you could blind all the time. Fuck, okay. Yeah, you could skill it for just 3 minutes? Yeah, well, 3 minutes is still a lot more than 30 seconds. Yeah, I was totally wrong. Prep? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know that.
Wow, I guess they have like complete invulnerability to everything.
Excluded Blind from being reset, starting with the Burning Crusade. And that's how preparation.
He just burned all my mana.
Number 3, Wind Fury weapon. During 2 points in Vanilla WoW, Wind Fury weapon was kind of broken and overpowered.
Here we
Wind
go.
Fury is a Shaman weapon enchant that gave the Shaman a 20% chance on hit to proc 2 extra attacks.
Here we
Before
go.
patch 1.4, this proc didn't have an internal cooldown, so it was possible for Wind Fury
And
to
there's
proc off the
a
2 hits
alliance.
generated from Wind Fury, and theoretically could proc off of itself forever until the target died. This was also the time period before attack weapon normalization, and since the extra hits from Wind Fury basically counted as extra
Oh, I need
attacks,
to repair
they did
apparently.
insane amounts of damage from a very slow two-handed weapon, like the Arcanine Reaper. There was even
I
a
can hit
famous
50
video
with
of
this
a shaman
quest.
going around with a legendary mace from Molten Core, one-shotting
I would
people
like to
with
do
Wind
that.
Fury procs. Eventually, though,
Warriors could do that easy. Like the thing is, like like a shaman's highlight reel is a warrior's like. That's like B footage. You know, you show that between other things. Like a shaman's highlight reel. Oh my god, look at this big crit. Wow. And it's like warriors just do that all the time. So like whenever I originally saw that video, I wasn't impressed.
Blizzard added a 3-second internal cooldown to Wind Fury, so it couldn't proc off of itself anymore, and killed it even further with attack speed normalization in patch 1.8.
Yep.
But
Fuck 'em.
in patch 1.11, someone discovered that the individual ranks of Wind Fury didn't share an internal cooldown. So, if you dual-wielded weapons, you could apply the highest rank of Wind Fury to your main hand weapon, and then the second highest rank of Wind Fury to your offhand, and get 2 times the procs.
Oh my
which was
god,
pretty
dude.
good. Until this too got nerfed, or
Yep.
fixed, in the Burning Crusade. Number 2, Will of the Forsaken. Will of the Forsaken was given to undead players as a racial with the launch of the game, when Blizzard decided to make undead players be counted as humans.
Oh, that's why I have res
to
sickness.
retain some of the CC immunity that may have provided, as being classified as undead in the beta made them immune to a lot
I'm
of
drinking
CC
too
that
much.
could only be used on humanoid targets.
I wonder like who the fuck thought that was gonna be a balance. Oh well, they're just undead, so they just don't get CC'd by like fucking half of everything. It's like who the fuck thought that was gonna be balanced? I wonder.
Like sheep, and just made them immune to fears altogether. So what Will the Forsaken did was break charm, fear, and sleep effects,
And
as well
polymorph.
as make you immune to those effects for 20 seconds.
Yep.
Now, 20 seconds of
That's a
fear
long
CC
damn
immunity is huge. And that was a downgraded version of what undeads could do in the beta, which was be permanently immune to them. Which is why I can see why Blizzard left that in the game for so long. Eventually, Blizzard thought giving a race 20 seconds of immunity to 3 CC effects, of which one of them, fear, being heavily used in PvP, was
That's
a little bit
fine.
unfair
Yeah, it's
compared to
fine.
the other racials.
Don't worry about it.
So they
It's
nerfed
great.
it in patch 1.6 to only make you immune to those effects for 5 seconds instead of 20,
Yeah, it's a little
which
bit more
was still
realistic.
powerful, but pissed off a lot of undead players. Someone took a
They're not OP
screenshot back in the
anymore.
day of a list of reasons Blizzard thought players might be quitting WoW, and one of the options available was
What the fuck?
because Will of the Forsaken was nerfed,
Wow.
which was
okay.
most likely a joke, but still kind of a big deal. Will of the Forsaken was always a strong racial throughout its whole life, and still gets nerfs even today. But it was at its strongest in Vanilla WoW.
Yep.
And number 1, Pyroblast, or POM Mages.
3-minute mage.
Back in Vanilla WoW, Blizzard balanced
Oh, here
castable
we
spells
go.
based on how long their cast times were.
Here we go.
So the longer the cast time, the more damage the spell did.
What a bunch
And
of
Pyroblast
shit.
And I got
was
it.
one of,
That
if
took
not
very long.
the longest cast times of a single target nuke spell,
There's a
clocking in at a 6-second cast time. It also had a 6-minute cooldown because it hit so hard.
wait. Pyroblast had a 6-minute cooldown. What? I don't remember that at all. Presence of Mind did? I thought Presence of Mind was 3 minutes, but I thought Blind was 30 seconds. So, you know, it depends. Yeah, I thought it was 3 because yeah, Presence of Mind was 3 minutes because they called it a 3-minute mage because every 3 minutes, it doesn't matter how shitty you are at the game. If you're a mage, you can kill somebody every 3 minutes, and that's the way that it was gonna work.
Now, Arcane mages had this ability called Presence of Mind, which made your next spell instant cast,
Yep.
and worked on Pyroblast. Also, they had Arcane Power, which gave them 35% more damage for 15 seconds.
It's great.
Both of which were on a 3-minute cooldown, and neither was on the GCD. So if you had 2 good, on-use spell power trinkets, because before patch 1.10, you could use multiple on-use
Yep, they
trinkets
didn't
at
share
once.
CD.
You could just macro in Presence of Mind, Arcane Power, your spell power trinkets, and Pyroblast to create one of WoW's very first one-shot macros.
That's a Swifty macro right there.
Except this one was literally a one-shot macro, and not just a clickbait burst macro. You could one-shot plays with this macro, but only once every 3 minutes.
That's
Or
a
I guess
badass
once
video,
every
dude.
6 minutes before Pyroblast's cooldown
One more.
removed in late vanilla.
Yeah.
As far as damaging abilities go, this was probably the most overpowered thing, as it was a guaranteed one-shot, instant cast range nuke that didn't require skill, outside
did
of
not.
getting 2 good spell power trinkets and creating the macro. Now for some honorable mentions, things I thought to put in the list but decided against for one.
The thing I find so funny about this whole list, right, is the fact that, like, warriors, they do so much damage that a normal, like a large crit from a warrior is what's considered a thing on this list, right? And it's like, yeah, warriors aren't that good at 1v1, okay? We got that. Everybody knows they're not that great at 1v1. But, like, whenever you go into, like, a BG situation, and you pop Recklessness, you pop Sweeping Strikes, you go into Berserker Stance, you queue up a cleave, and you Whirlwind at the same time, and 3 fucking people die because you just fucking delete them off the screen. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't put in Sweeping Strikes Whirlwind combo, because that was OP as fuck. That's like an on-demand Wind Fury. It was insane. Or you just get CC'd? Yeah, that's why you use a free action potion and you have like 3 healers behind you. And that way you don't die, right? But after all the CC runs off, then you kill everybody. That's how it would work.
One reason or another. That's basically just Reckoning. It
Yep.
was a Paladin talent that allowed a Paladin to solo a world boss.
Anyway,
I
I'm gonna
did
get off
include
here.
it, though, because for one, it's talked about
I'm-
to death,
I've ran out of
and
time.
everyone would probably be expecting it, and 2,
So, toodles.